Good evening. This is Pastor Bob at Sunrise Community Church. Hope you guys are having a great day. It's snowing. It's a beautiful white blanket outside. If you like this stuff, last Sunday I got ordained. They gave me a plaque that says you don't have to shovel sunshine. And this week, what do I get? I get snow. But what can I say? That's what happens in New Hampshire. But I will tell you this. We're happy to be here tonight. We're having a great time. It's warm in my office. But under normal circumstances, if we from now on, if it's a bad weather night, we might not be here on Friday nights. That will be very much the exception to the rule. But I did want to just tell you about that and let you know about that. Listen, guys, I am excited to tell you about this coming Sunday. This coming Sunday, we're going to be traveling with Jesus. We're going to be going to a wedding feast in Cana. We'll be in John chapter 2, verses 1 through 11, where Jesus and his mother, Mary, and several of his disciples have been invited to this banquet, this party, this wedding feast. You know, back in that culture, wedding feasts were a lot bigger thing than they are today, because weddings had more to do not just with the happiness of the couple. That wasn't the primary concern, but the good of the commonwealth, the good of the whole town. You see, the more strong families a town had, the more affluent they were, the more military secure they were, the stronger the town was. So when you had a wedding feast, it's a big affair, much bigger than what we think about today. You know, you have a wedding today and you invite 200 or 300 people, and that is a big deal. But back then, they invited the whole town. Everybody came because it had something to do with the whole town. And that's why the wedding feast went for a week or longer. And it's on this very note that we open up this passage with Jesus. Because Mary and the disciples and Jesus are there. They're only into the wedding feast a couple of days. And all of a sudden, a tragedy strikes. It is a disaster as far as the social and the cultural times and this shame and honor culture. They have run out of wine. Now everybody knows that wine is it's probably the essential element if you're going to have a great party, especially back in that time. But you know what? Then you got to ask yourself, this is going to be Jesus' first miracle? So what's going on? The real truth to understanding this whole passage is found in verse 11 when they say that this is the first of his miraculous signs. In other words, this is what Jesus is all about. What is that saying to us? That Jesus, there's nobody dying here. There's nobody starving to death. There's no demons that needed to be cast out. All they needed was some wine. And that is Jesus' first miracle that says what he's about. You got to wonder what's going on. In other words, his first miracle, his signifier is let's keep the party going. Let's bring laughter to the crowd. You know, I got to think about that, and I wonder about that. I wonder what's on Jesus' mind when he's thinking about that. And, you know, then I think about exactly what Jesus did for me and he's doing for you. I'm excited to talk to you about this because isn't that what Jesus did? He brought joy into our lives. Resurrection joy, resurrection blessing. That's what the whole gospel is about, what Christ did for us. That's why the first miracle, the one that tells you about what Jesus is about, is bringing joy into the world because that's what he's doing. We're going to talk about that on Sunday. We're going to get into some other areas. We're going to talk about when Mary says to Jesus, you know, it's the second or third day, Mary comes up to Jesus. Now, maybe she was just telling everybody and Jesus was there. I seriously doubt that. I doubt that Mary knew exactly who Jesus was still. But she certainly remembered those angels. She certainly remembered his birth. She knew he was no ordinary man. And no telling, we have no idea of what she's witnessed as he's growing up, what he's said and he's done. So we don't know. But Mary comes and she says, we're out of wine. And Jesus dismisses her sort of curtly, sort of abruptly. He says, what's that got to do with me? My hour has not come. And they're looking, and she walks away. She tells the servants, whatever he tells you to do, do it. You know, a lot of times when we translate things from the Greek and bring them into the English language, The nuances change a little bit. And sometimes we got to be careful because things don't mean exactly what they're said, but that's not the case here. That's not the case here. Jesus spoke that, and it was a little short. It was a little different. Now, here's the thing. We know Jesus never says something that he doesn't mean. I mean, think about it. Even when he's being crucified, he doesn't have a bad word to say to those people. He has only good things to say. He's asking for forgiveness for them. He always has the proper word. So what is going on here? What is Jesus thinking about? He says, what's that got to do with me? My hour has not come. We'll talk about his hour because every time in the book of John, if you look at it, you'll find out that his hour has to do with the time of his death. So what is Jesus thinking about? Have you ever noticed you go to a wedding, you're at a reception, you ever notice all the single people there? Sometimes they're looking around, they got this faraway stare on their face. What do you think they're thinking about? I think they're thinking about, not about that wedding, but about what their wedding's going to be like. You think Jesus was thinking about that? What it's going to be like in the end? What it's going to be like? You know, wait a minute, Bob. You're telling me that Jesus came to bring joy. I thought he came to deny himself. I thought he came to suffer and pay for my sins, to die on the cross, to suffer all that. Yeah, he did. But he wants to put even that in context. You see, we're going to see that when you look at it correctly, that all the suffering you go through, all the things, it's no more than one bad night in a hotel. One night in a bad hotel. That's all it is. That's the joy that Jesus has. And he's going to show you that this joy that he has, that he's going to give at the end time, it comes into you now when you're saved now, when you accept Jesus now. Because it's like a well of living water flowing up with you, even in your driest times, in your most trying times, in the times that you just don't know what to do. There's that joy, that peace, that comfort there. You know, Bob, that's all great and all, but I just don't know. I don't know about all that stuff. You know, let's just fast forward. You know, you're talking about all this stuff. You're talking about him being the master of the party and him bringing wine and bringing joy. And what, you know, I'm a humanist, Bob. I really don't think there's that much evil in man. Really? If you're honest enough with yourself and you live long enough, that will bite you. I promise you it will. Because you'll come to the place where you'll think, I didn't know I was capable of that. I didn't know I could even think like that. What theologians and some authors call that is the commonality of humanity. Or one author calls it the banality of evil. I'm reminded, you know, we act like there's nothing wrong and we don't want to talk about sin, and we're not going to talk a lot about sin, but we have to understand that we're stained and we needed this. So I'm reminded of the Rocky movie. When Rocky's there, he's about to go fight Apollo Creed. He's laying there in bed with his girlfriend Adrian, and he says, you know, it doesn't matter if I win or not. If I just go 15 rounds with Creed. Nobody's ever went 15 rounds with him before. It doesn't matter if I lose. It doesn't matter if he opens up my head. It doesn't matter what he does. If I'm just there at the end, still standing when the bell goes off, then I'll know I'm not just another bum from the neighborhood. You think that's what we're trying to do when we work so hard at our jobs? We try to go to the gym, some of us, and work out. Not me, but some of us go to the gym and work out to try to look so good and so beautiful. All these things, are we trying to show to ourselves and others, many whom we don't even know, that we ain't no bum? Is that what we're trying to show? Did Jesus come and did he save us from that gap? Did he save us from that? Is that what the story is about? Is that what Jesus did? You know, we'll spin that on and we'll roll into the final act where, you know, this isn't just about that, but it's the substitutionary work of Christ on the cross. And I know the minute I go there, I'm going to have people say, oh, Bob, not that blood and gut stuff. I can't take that any longer. I just like Jesus. I don't like the Bible and all that stuff. Just Jesus and how good he is and how nice he was to other people. If everybody could just live like him, if they could just imitate him, wouldn't the world be a great place? man, Jesus never come to be a role model. And I'm so glad he didn't, because he would crush me. I could never measure myself against him. Hey, listen, there's more to tell you, and we'll do it on Sunday morning. They're telling me I'm overtime. God bless you. We'll see you this Sunday.